What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. You know, I have a whole list of things to record today, and then I just saw that like some free agency stuff happened, and I was like, you know what? It's been enough time. Let's do another like free agency recap. We said we were going to cover every single move in some capacity, so we're going to do that. So hey, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. All right, let's get into it. Alrighty, y'all. So this was the move that made me completely shift what I was going to record. As you can see, this literally just got posted like 3 minutes ago that this was going to happen, and I was like, you know what, I can record some other stuff today. The lady's out of town. I was going to sit down and try to pre-record a bunch of stuff for you guys for this week, and you know what, let's just recap free agency. Let's just do it. But Tyus Jones to the Phoenix Suns, I mean, it makes sense, right? It makes total complete sense. I think if all of us had to make a guess as to what was going to happen, this was probably going to be it. Even though like there wasn't a lot of rumors necessarily being spread about it, just a logical mind told us that this was what was going to happen, right? Phoenix Suns last year brought in a bunch of star level players, and we knew that they just didn't have much else going on the team, right? And most importantly, they didn't have a clear point guard on the roster, and it was evident that they didn't have somebody to initiate the offense, to kind of keep things stable. They were missing some defensive presence when trying to guard other guards, and so they were kind of spiraling, right? And being like, okay, well, what the hell's going to happen now? You had Tyus Jones to the team now, and now all of a sudden you've got yourself a starting point guard. Tyus Jones has long been in the NBA and he's looked at as like probably one of the best backup guards in the NBA, to where whenever he needs to spot start, you feel pretty dang good about it all said and done. And that's just because he's one of those guys that just doesn't make many mistakes. He plays good defense. I don't want to see anybody bring out his defensive rating from this last season. Nothing in Washington worked well. And yes, he had a pretty atrocious defensive season last year, but like I said, it was all just crazy last season. What do you hope you get out of Tyus Jones? You hope you get some floor spacing. You hope you get a leader at the point guard spot, a good defender, somebody to kind of distribute and keep some order to the offense, right? And I just think it's a phenomenal pickup. Now you got him and Monte Morris on the team. You just have two floor generals, two of the smartest basketball like backup guards kind of on one team now, so that you can always kind of have one of them on the court if necessary. Huge pickup for them. It's only a 1 year, like $3 million deal. Makes a ton of sense for Tyus Jones. He's going to get a chance to contribute a ton and then go into a big market next year, right? I just think that makes a ton of sense for them. So shout out Tyus Jones for being added here. Something that happened just the other day is David Roddy got traded to the Atlanta Hawks for EJ Liddell. It was basically just a move to help like relieve some cap stress. I don't necessarily see either of these guys being a big factor one way or another. I thought maybe there was a chance that David Roddy could find his way onto his Suns roster. I mean, he's been moved a couple times now. He's just kind of an awkward player in the sense that like, where exactly does he fit? He's not a good enough shooter or ball handler maybe to like be a guard, or like maybe have the quickness for it, but like he's bulkier and he's too small to maybe play the forward. It's just, this is what happens when you get these in-between players sometimes, man. It's hard to make them fit. James Johnson is going back to the Pacers on the same kind of 1 year vet minimum. I believe this is the 10+ year like amount vet minimum. At least I'm assuming that that's what that is. James Johnson basically just out there to be the scrapper on the team, be the Udonis Haslem, so that if a fight ever breaks out, you're guaranteed to win the fight because James Johnson is on the team. Just a ton of attitude, great guy to have as an on-court coach. Like, those guys are just important to have, especially when you've got young teams like you do out in Indiana, or at least you have a lot of young prominent players that are trying to get on the court. You need dudes like that everybody's going to respect. And like, this is why like Indiana's got one of those like better cultures in basketball, right? It's because they do the little things like this to make sure that guys are growing the right way. So even if they don't have the most upside, maybe you're getting the most out of them. Orlando Robinson got a 1 year deal with the Sacramento Kings. Look, there's just not a ton of big dudes out there necessarily right now. You want to make sure that you have some depth. Orlando Robinson's kind of been around at points, so that's good. He had a solid summer league from what I remember. But you know, Sacramento just adding somebody else into the depth chart that's got a little bit of size. He's a big and strong dude though, so at least when he's out there, at least you're gonna feel the size at the very least. Andrew Nembhard got a 3-year, $59 million extension. What is the math on that? Is that 19 and a half, 19.6, something like that, right? So getting close to that $20 million range, you know, and Andrew Nembhard, interesting rookie season. Last year he was pretty solid. Obviously he had some real big moments for them in the playoffs. It's interesting, right? Like, they're trying to lock him up early. That's no surprise whatsoever. He's a very, very good basketball player. That's probably what he's worth. It just seems a little bit weird to me. It's just maybe because it just seems like so recently he became like relevant, maybe, and so maybe that's why I'm like tripping out about it. But like, I think about his production and everything, and it doesn't necessarily like trip me out or anything. And you hope that he's going to be able to keep building on some of the great stuff that we've already seen him do in the NBA, seeing him be somewhat of a shot creator, right? And someone that can get to the hoop hoop, that can hit the three ball and play off of Halliburton and stuff like that. Is he probably better off as the point guard? Yeah, but, you know, at the end of the day, he had some really good moments in the playoffs. He also had some really poor moments. I'm not going to lie. Some of the worst decision-making I've ever seen in end-of-game situations out of, like, NBA players have come from Andrew Nembhard within, like, the last year. And I even saw him he was in Summer League recently, was he not? Like, I could have sworn he was in Summer League this year, and I saw him doing some other crazy stuff at the end of games. So maybe gets a little bit of tunnel vision in those situations. All growing pains at the end of the day. Oh, no, it wasn't Summer League. Yeah, it was for the Canadian national team. That's what it was. I was like, why would he be in Summer League? No, okay, I was like, I know I've seen him this offseason playing some weird basketball somewhere, but hey, you know, this I just want to shout out Indiana, man. They're one of those franchises that just kind of do things right all the time. Another developmental story, man. You want to be that Miami, Utah, Indiana. They just know what they're doing. Reggie Jackson signs a one-year deal with the Sixers, so they've kind of got a weird thing going on in Philly, right? They've got a lot of lead guards now that aren't necessarily going to be great defensive guards, and they're all a little bit, like, undersized. Like, you look at, like, the Jared McCain, the Maxey, the Kyle Lowry, which I presume we're going to talk about in this video as well. So I don't hate it at the end of the day. You're bringing in another veteran guard to a team that's trying to compete and everything. Totally understand that. You probably can't have, like, too many of those at the end of the day. What is Reggie Jackson going to bring outside of, like, some reserve guard minutes? Probably nothing much, but it's an interesting move nonetheless. I would have liked to have seen them try to add, like, a sizable wing, because I still feel like they're missing that on this team. It's a short team. Sam Hauser got an extension, 4-year, $45 million. The Celtics are just locking up this core, man. Like, they're just like, I've also found it funny. I don't know if you guys like watch like Pardon My Take or Barstool or anything like that. I like to listen to those guys. It's goofy stuff. And they're just saying like, oh yeah, the owner's about to sell the team, so he's just giving everybody every single cent that they want because they won't have to pay for it anyway, which is hilarious to think about, and maybe some truth to it in all honesty. Like, it's not a crazy assertion by any means. And so, but like this team is really, really good, right? It's really good. They've locked up this team now for the next couple of years. They should be in contention for a while. If you win a championship more or two, probably worth it at the end of the day. So shout out Sam Hauser, man, though. I said at the beginning of last season, I was like, Sam Hauser is going to be such a crucial player for this team because just having a wing that can shoot the shit out of the basketball like he can around all of the other studs in Boston is just so valuable to be able to throw on the court. So good for him, man. Evan Mobley getting a 5-year, like $224 million contract. Yeah, this is one that's interesting, right? Maximum rookie contract extension for Evan Mobley. Do we think that he's deserving of that right now? No, not necessarily. You can say, look, there's been a lot of other guys on the team that take the ball away from him. He's really good defensively. He's got his moments where it doesn't look as good and some that it does. Like, at the end of the day, he's a good basketball player, don't get me wrong, but is he deserving of a max contract extension? Hard to say. We're in a time now where teams just need to lock up the players they have because that's the only way like that you're really allowed to spend money nowadays is to keep the players that you have. And so there's going to be some negotiating, we'll say perks and downsides to ownership because of that. They're going to be like, look, like you're not going to get any more lottery picks anytime soon. You might as well pay me, right? But then, you know, teams are also going to be able to say like, hey, you know what, like if we get into the second apron and everything, we're not going to be able to help you guys out at all, and so like we got to somehow avoid all of this, and man, Cleveland's going to have an expensive team, man. They got a lot of people to pay on this team, and look, I like Evan Mobley a lot. I wish he had a bigger opportunity to really show some stuff, but seems like a little bit of an overpay, but I understand the negotiating that probably took place. We briefly talked about this in another video, but like Zaire Williams just being traded over to Brooklyn, we kind of figured he'd be a part of some bigger deal at some point because I would figure someone would find him interesting. And you know what? He might as well go to the Nets where they don't have anything to really build upon right now. So he's going to get a chance to try and show some of the stuff that we saw in his rookie season. And it's just been because it's been kind of just slowly falling off after this. So at the end of the day, I think it's cool for the Grizzlies that they got a chance to move on for him. I hope that he finds a chance to find some success. That boy Mamu got a 1-year, $2.2 million deal to return back to the Spurs. Mamu's an interesting player. He's got some size, he's got some experience with the team, so sometimes that alone in this market might be good enough to warrant just a minimum contract of coming back. I will say one of the things that I like about him is he moves really well without the basketball, and he's pretty light on his feet. Is he necessarily great at anything else? No, not necessarily, but I do find it interesting at the end of the day, and I've seen him play well off of Victor in the past, so you know what? Fair enough. Gary Trent Jr. joining the Bucks. Obviously, they lost out on Beasley, which man, like I'm not gonna lie, like I would have brought back Beasley for what he got from Detroit, man. Like he had a really, really good season. Doc Rivers came in and kind of played him less, which I don't understand. Like he was shooting the shit out of the basketball. You're bringing in Gary Trent, very, very similar basketball player where you look at like some of his defensive numbers and it's kind of been a little bit like all over the place traditionally, kind of a good defender, and then at times maybe not as much, but could be in part to like some fluctuating teams and everything. The numbers are extremely conflicting on him at times, but hopefully this is a guy that you can start at the 2 and have like be a really good guy to kind of play off of Dame and Giannis and the rest of the crew. That's the hope. I think it's a great signing at the end of the day and a chance for him to kind of prove himself, kind of like Kelly Oubre did in recent seasons, where it's like, okay, go to a good team, probably start for like a minimum or something like that, hopefully play well and get more money the next year. Seth Curry agrees to a 1-year minimum to return to the Hornets. Nothing much to say about that. Cool that he's wearing Dell's jersey. That's basically all I have to say about that. Well, you know, let's try to give Charlotte some credit. Bringing in good quality vets, right? Good quality vets bring stability to the team. Low-key, Charlotte, you're doing some all right things. I'm still a little confused by the Miles Bridges contract, but you know what? Hopefully there's a plan with that new ownership. We're keeping our fingers crossed for you guys, Charlotte Hornets fans. We just want to see you guys get out of the slums. Speaking of Charlotte Hornets making decent decisions, 1-year, $3.3 million deal with Taj Gibson. Again, one of the better just like vets to go get on your team. Good, solid big man. He's going to come in and basically just play hard-nosed defense if he gets in at this point. He's the pure essence of Tom Thibodeau and those Bulls and Knicks teams that he's played for. He's just going to come in and be a solid leader, right? And you know that. And again, I'm giving Charlotte a lot of credit for going out and making moves like this. This is how you start to turn a culture around. KJ Martin, 2-year, $16 million deal to return to the Sixers. Kind of seems like an overpay, in all honesty. Like, do we really think that he deserved, like, that much money, in all honesty? Like, yeah, he's had some really good moments. Like, who else was really kind of bidding for him, was my question. Was he threatening to go overseas? I don't know. But I do like that he kind of brings a new dynamic to Philly in the sense of getting a little more athletic, because you kind of look at the team, not a ton of just, like, athletes out there. So I like that you're getting a new dynamic with KJ Martin at the end of the day. Hopefully he can space the floor. They play the 4 off of like Paul George at times. Could be a nice like backdoor alley-oop threat, kind of like what you see Aaron Gordon do when Jokic is working by the nail or something like that. So I can totally see like how he can fit in basketball wise. So I like the player. I'm just curious kind of how the contract worked out. I don't need to talk about this one too much. Brunson, the historic, $150 million extension, basically the huge roster savings that was made and everything. Ultimate good guy move. Knicks legend probably already. Shout out him. I've seen a lot of Knicks fans just being like, this guy's the GOAT. Everyone else is going to take pay cuts. Here's the thing, like as they get more and more bird rights and being on the teams for that much longer, it just means they're going to make all that money back in their next contract anyway. So they're just ensuring that they're going to stick around on the team and try to be really competitive, try to win a championship or two or something, which they're definitely going to be in contention. There's no doubt about that. And man, I hope to see him there. Like I want to root for this team so bad. They're so much fun. They play so hard, but man, ultimate good guy move here. Another Philly move, Kyle Lowry, like we talked about, coming back on like the 1-year minimum. Again, just good veteran leadership, good backup guard, can still be a good shot creator, honestly. Like, I shouldn't say shot creator, but can play off of people and make shots in limited minutes. You know, he's a little bit older now, still plays solid defense. Again, you play him in spurts, you're still going to get a pretty productive Kyle Lowry, so I like the move. Spencer Dinwiddie, 1-year minimum contract deal to go back to the Dallas Mavericks, where, if we all remember, had a ton of success there in Dallas. I think this is a phenomenal pickup. This gives them another combo guard. Combo guards are valuable on this team just because they can continue the ball movement, which they showed that they needed at times during the finals, is someone else that can kind of create things. We were like, okay, if they're going to be like icing Luka and Kyrie and stuff, and you know, it's hard to break that every single time, who else is going to keep the offense moving after you get past that first initial wall? Spencer Dinwiddie's a great guy to have that happen. He can play with the ball, without the basketball. He can go create his own shot. Maybe hasn't been quite as productive as of late, but I think in this system he'll actually work pretty well, in all honesty. So you're getting a bigger guard that can put the ball on the floor, that can shoot a little bit, play off of your star players. I think this is a phenomenal pickup for him and a good place for him to go. Kind of a shocking move here. Killian Hayes, 1-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets. I'm so serious. I didn't think we'd see Killian Hayes for at least 3 or 4 more seasons. So, funny enough, I actually recruited a guy that played with Killian in high school, so I watched him play in high school quite a bit. And when he ended up going to the NBA, that same kid was just like, how do you think Killian's going to do in like the NBA? And I'm not trying to like shit on his friend or anything, but I was kind of like, I don't understand. Like, I kind of just don't understand, in all honesty. And we saw that in the NBA. Like, they sure tried to force him to be out there to play, but he just did not look like an NBA player. He just didn't look like he was good enough. So the Nets are giving him a chance, because why the hell not, right? Like, that's kind of what they're looking for this year, is try to find a diamond in the rough. Maybe they're just taking a chance, well, they are, to just say, like, hey, maybe Detroit just really didn't know what they were doing with him, which is entirely plausible, and we can kind of go from there and see what happens. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? It's not like we're winning basketball games this year anyway. So interesting nonetheless. I personally don't see what you're trying to get out of him, in all honesty. So if there's any Killian Hayes supporters left, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Yeah, that's kind of what we got for this one, y'all. I just wanted to do a quick update and everything, kind of tie up some of the loose ends from free agency, because it's been a little bit. But hey, I gotta go record some other videos now. But you guys let me know, like, which of these moves do you think is like the most impactful, and why is it the Spencer Dinwiddie one? Oh no, it's the Tyus Jones one, actually. That's not even close. My bad. But anyway, appreciate you guys as always, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much. Bye.